Good morning, all. Thank you for being here today. Really appreciate it. Happy to have all of you in our first webinar this year. Thank you very much.
Foreigner.
Energy security and sustainability begins with global collaboration. This was the belief that led to the creation of the Technology Collaboration Program just 1 year after the IEA was created 45 years ago. The TCP provides the IEA with a unique technology network unmatched by other international organizations. It is global and is open to IEA members as well as non-member countries. It cuts across energy technologies and topics such as energy efficiency, renewables, fusion power, hydrogen, and fossil fuels. It is an essential forum for governments and industry to work together and focus on the most challenging energy issues of the day. TCPs have pioneered the development of cutting-edge technology, including smart grids and wind turbine blades. Their work informs the IEA analysis as we look to shape a more secure and sustainable energy future for all.
Thank you all. Thank you for being here today. Really appreciate it. On behalf of the International Energy Agency, we would like to say thank you to all of you for being here at our first webinar on surfactants and polymers. We are part of the solution, and that's the way we would like to bring our different task forces to work together on the options that we would like to put sustainable scenarios together. On that sense, how the net zero actions and activities that we have with EOR is something that we would like to include and participate and work together with you. We really appreciate how we are going to be continue on this force. We had a big challenge: net zero, climate change, decarbonization, carbon intensity. Part of these different processes are together on how we are working on the different scenarios. How we put the different drivers that we are related to the energy conditions and how we put it on the society description is something that we should work on, and make it how the development options and the needs of our society require to be working on industry, power generation, transport, buildings, and other needs that the community require. Include options and alternatives has come together on the alternatives on how we are going to be working on the different scenarios where oil and gas require to be approved for society. More approval with more energy on it. And it's part of, there are different actions that we should be part, and EOR is part of it. Today, the world requires more universal energy access and new buildings, zero carbon for be ready on this option. Are asking about to get different option for transport on global car. What is the best way to put it? The history and the lesson will put us together on it. How we handle hydrogen, how we handle coal, how we handle the different technologies for a clean industry is something that we should put as engineers, as geoscientists, as research and developers, to be part of the solutions on the develop on perspective of the world. This coming with more options. CCUS has a target on it. CO2 EOR is part of the solution. Microbial EOR, surfactants and polymers, options that come together to overall net zero emissions is something that we should care about it in our operations and in our actions. The transport will be continue evolving as the roadmap that the International Energy Agency had been figured out the world is going to be related to the CO2 emissions. Virtually and heavy industry are going to come with innovative options and as well to alternatives that come together to reach new access, new reduction of emissions that come together how we are going to do on the best way with efficiency and the best manner to produce the capacity of energy that our society requires, but as well how we're going to put the different handle volumes of net emissions we are going to put together. Today, we haven't received emission. No new oil and gas field approved for development, no new coal mines or mines will be part of the options of the extension. That means exploration are going to be quite limited. And developed mature field is going to be in our scenario. That don't mean that oil and gas industry is going to stop. We need to continue working on our sustainable development scenario because oil and gas are going to be part of the continued energy provider. But this demand of energy are going to be part of the options that we are going to be working on the alternatives, the how we are going to develop our fields, how we are going to handle the declination of our assets, how we're going to put low-cost resources and put environmental performance and sustainability scenario on each operation. We should work on it. And the sustainable development scenario that the oil and gas industry is something that we can put together. And that's why we are here, because EOR can be part of the solution. We have in our hands our mature fields that we can articulate it with emissions, circular economy, renewables, energy efficiency, energy storage, CCUS, and natural capital. These options come together in our initiatives, in our pilots, in our expansion sense, in our development, because we would like to provide energy to the rest of the world. Technology will continue, and recovery EOR is the pillar of the technology lines that we should continue working on. Recovery EOR, that's why we are here today, because what we have in our hands are going to provide energy to the world, value to our organizations, and technology to our different assets. Oil recovery is part of how we can continue in our mature oil fields. There is still a room for different options in recovery factors in our mature fields. We have been using primary recovery, secondary recovery, and in some tertiary oil recovery. We have pilots. To come to expansions, we need to put together all our efforts. And today we have a challenge that we need to put in how we are going to develop the different activities. On surfactants and polymer is something that we should continue working on and see how the way that we put the implementation. These implementations come related to the different stages of the screen technologies or do assessment of the technology readiness. To put a portfolio, to do a lab test, a field test, to be ready for a sector development and full field development. But all this has now a new component, carbon intensity. And that means the CO2 intensity, or to put together how we are going to handle the different options that we have it in the first month of the screening technology, to choose technology, to put the portfolio. We are going to have the carbon intensity factors on the options to be choosing the best project to apply. Same for the results of the field tests of the sectors and the full field development. When we add our profiles, our productions, our additional reserves on it, has to be counting how much carbon intensity we are going to put as well on the market. This is the invitation. We are here today because the maturity of our projects put together our technologies that we are providing barrels per day to the humanity. Polymer and fluiding, surfactant polymers part of it. We will continue working on that. And that's the option that I would like to invite, since the invitation of do the studies and very well consensus about the fluid composition and crude oil analysis. Which type of crude oil we have, how we are going to handle these options and the influence that we have with them. We need to put now in the balance which are the best crude to take, what are the best carbon intensity and options to put on this scenario. With the crude and with the chemical constraints and formations actions with the fluids, we have emulsions. Emulsions that come together with the different properties and actions and scenarios that come on the change of the pH, on the change of the actions of the formation, on the surfactants conditions that we have natural surfactants. So understand this from the beginning. It's going to save us energy. It's going to save us options and emissions too. So do a very well design on it and put together these options and emissions is something that we put together. Same with wettability, all the factors come together. How easy is going to be to do my recovery? So it's something that we can do and work on. And when I think about my project, how carbon intensity can come from the beginning, from the way I describe my project, from the way I start understand my rock physics, my fluid conditions, and put all them aligned to carbon intensity and emissions. We still have some options of residual oil, different types to continue working on. We have different alternatives, and it's where technology came, because we need to provide energy to the community and to the world. We are going to continue doing it. We're going to continue working on it. So let's put together the different actions, foaming conditions, alternative of how we can do on the heavy aspect of the options of the heavy oil cruise, the alternatives to put together technologies that can make easily the transport of the ocean that can help us to have a low carbon intensity processes. Be careful about the chemical services and the different parameters about stability and the condition we have on the ocean we use. Is something that as well is going to help us to understand and look at about how the carbon intensity and emissions can be related to the different options and selections on water, polymers, surfactants, chemical reactions that are going to be part of the EOR process, but as well on the selections that I'm going to do and make it, putting this project together. Thermal stability challenges, that is something that in surfactants and polymers come every day on the conditions. How I make these stability conditions easily handle with the conditions I can have with water management, carbon intensity option is something that we should put together too. Apply new technologies, an option like nanotechnologies is an invitation as well as part of the option how I can improve efficiency. And with efficiency, with nanotechnology, is something that we are looking at, not only to the options that we have into the different polymers with the wettability alteration, interfaction tension reduction, mobility improvement, reduction or upgrading of water oil stability. We have as well different options with emissions, energy efficiency, and how we can put together on it. We have transitional changes drivers today. This is coming from the MIT, and oil and gas industry has two words on the links of these options, and is increased efficiency. Increased efficiency because we have already the knowledge, we have already the platform, the base, to provide our energy, and our energy are going to be continually part of the different platform and the different resources we have it. So increased efficiency is going to do it. And how we can put an EOR sustainable? We have in our hands our hydrocarbons at different scales from fluids and formation. We have the different engineering applied with the STEM basics, chemistry, mass flow, energy balance, with the energy elements, with the efficiency and optimized processes, with emissions control, reserves, carbon intensity, and energy generation with decarbonization and CO2 management, something that we should put together and work on this economy of energy, where CO2, hydrogen, and the different renewables are coming together on it. Today, our society and all our projects require that we put our sustainable development goals. And how we put them in our projects? We can put it in our EOR projects, and we are doing already since a few years ago. So putting all this option and remember how we can articulate it is something that we should put in our different scenarios. A scenario that require today the world, because the world is asking us an energy transition challenge about how we are going to put together the options of the different pathway. These options that come on the scenarios of put the different alternatives and how I put the new blueprints, the new conditions on net zero emissions that come together. Fossil fuels are part of the solution. With CCUS, without CCUS, we part of the portfolio of the renewables that we come together at different alternatives that put it on the energy transition challenges. That will be in function of the type of oil, type of reservoirs, but we will working on the best combination to put on the different prices with the lower emissions that is part of the solution. The world has already different alternatives, different energies that require our energy, that require the advantage of oil and gas companies to put into the renewable power, into the different options with hydrogen, with carbon capture, with voluntary carbon markets, economics that come related to our projects. CO2 emissions is a true reality today. And we are part of the solution, how we are going to be working on handle this one with CCUS. And EOR community part of that alternative. So how we work on that one is something that we should continue working. Our task forces from the EA, EOR, TCP are working on it and looking for technologies, options at surfactants and polymer, how contributed to the different layers of alternatives that we have on surface conditions with production optimization, geothermal, CCUS, hydrogen, that we have a lot of synergy together. The invitation is to continue working from our EOR TCP with the different other alternatives to make our different visions on our projects the best way of articulate water, thermal, chemical, gas, fluid conditions on the footprint that we have on carbon intensity processes with energy efficiency with the projects to put together. I would like to say thank you to all of you for being here. And I would like to invite the Surfactant and Polymers Task Forces, our host of today's webinar, to continue with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar, very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Sol Reyes. I'm leading Surfactants and Polymers Task Force. And I would like to introduce you our team members. We are working with Tariq Alhamami. He is EOR Business Development Manager at Reservoir Engineer, specialist in BSA. We are also working with Sebastian Llanos. He is a Master Petroleum Engineer in PSL. With Mehdi Izadi, Reservoir Engineer Authority in Ecopetrol. And Laura Silva, she is Academic Leader, Colombian Association of Petroleum Engineers. So we are really passionate about polymers and surfactants, and that's why we organize this webinar, and we are happy to find a lot of people also excited for this how we can use polymers and surfactants for a sustainable oil production. So as Cesar mentioned, and as we have seen, and most of we know, we use this chemical enhanced soil recovery to have a better displacement efficiency and to reduce or to increase the sweet efficiency and to have better residual oil saturation. So that's why we are promoting the study of all those historical and recent advances. The statistics are worldwide, the technology challenges that we are facing, and all the environmental concerns that the technology came along. So that's why it's important, and we will see today in all of the presentation how sweep and displacement is going to be working, and how to understand how it's behaving, and which are the critical success factors for a chemical EOR project, which kind of chemistries are using in different kind of projects that we are going to see, the lab qualification and surface facility design, which are the environmental impacts that they have been facing and how they challenge it, and well, some other chemical enhanced oil recovery implementation considerations. So this is what we try to cover here. And you see, I would like to introduce or to include also to this discussion to my colleague Tariq and to my colleague Mehdi. So please open your cameras and micros, and we can talk to.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sol. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Tariq Alhamami. I work as an EOR development manager and a reservoir engineering specialist at BASF. I am based in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. And yeah, I think it's definitely a very interesting, and with this day and age, with increasing environmental and societal pressures coming from governments and organizations and authorities, I truly believe that it's an interesting topic to talk about, especially when it comes not only to EOR, but rather to chemical EOR, because you see that collaboration and satisfaction of these requirements come definitely with at a higher cost. But I think with enhanced oil recovery or chemically enhanced oil recovery, we see that there is an added benefit here, because we are trying to increase the recovery at the same time maintaining or sustainable that neutrality landscape in terms of carbon emissions. Not only that, but also understanding how all of this, fit together in the overall energy balance equation is going to be important. Maybe I can share a few words in the interest of time. I won't take a lot of time here, but as a view from a chemical manufacturer or a chemical vendor, it's not only about trying to push products or the selection of what would be the best chemistries in terms of polymers and surfactant that would be able to support the operator in their operation, but we're talking about that collaboration. I mean, we can go to crazy formulations when it comes to surfactants and polymers, but it's the real question is, how do we make it cost efficient? And maybe I'll pass it over quickly to Mehdi to share perspective from an oil operator on this topic. Mehdi.
Thank you, Tariq. Good morning, good evening to everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be part of IEA, and we really thank leadership of Cesar. He has been working very hard. Thank you very much, Cesar, as well. As the colleague Tariq mentioned, when we talk about the EOR, especially chemical EOR, as we all know, in the industry, especially chemical EOR, polymer EOR is a mature technology as it comes to the field application of the polymer. However, when we come to surfactant, has been a lot of studies and research, mostly in a laboratory, few pilots here and there, but not. I mean, if you're looking at from even 1980s, surfactant has not been able to go to the big field implementation. We have few pilot, different companies try it over the years. So one of the things is hopefully the new technologies, the new developments, and improvement that we have in the chemical industry is going to help us a little bit in explore a little bit on the surfactant side. So this group and these task forces, and with the help of all of you, hopefully we will be able to develop a little bit more and going after the residual oil saturation in the reservoirs and be able to produce those oil as well. And with that, I'm just thank you everyone, and we can pass it to Tariq to get started with the conference. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, thanks, Mehdi. So yeah, just in the interest of time, looking at our agenda here, we will start have a few interesting topics given by our elite speakers. And the way that we would like to run it is we will start with the first speaker, and then the second, the third, and so on and so forth until we get to the panel Q&A. We will have 2 panel Q&A sessions in which we will ask the speakers to unmute themselves. And we will just engage in a friendly discussion about the topics that they presented, answer questions from the audience, and really talk about how we can drive this, especially